Hi, I'm Michelle, and welcome to my Manhattan loft. Hi everyone, welcome to my apartment in New York City. My brother and I found this 70s tapestry in a flea market in Paris. And I saw this kind of in front of this antique shop, and it had this really old vintage frame, and haggled a little bit with the vendor, and I brought it home. So I really like safaris and animals in general. You'll see a lot of animal motifs throughout the house. And welcome to the reading room / living room. This is one of my favorite places. As you can see, we love books. My partner and I were both nerds growing up, and that also hasn't changed. I finally got a real bookcase. These are actually 4 IKEA Kallax shelves that are stacked on each other. I also have some storage at the bottom too. So if you live in a city apartment and you want things kind of out of sight, I highly recommend the inserts from IKEA for the bottom. Also, the sofa is also one of my favorite things in the house, and people always ask me, is it comfortable? And I would say yes, absolutely. During parties or when friends come over, this is usually the hot spot. People love hanging out here, having a glass of wine, playing games, just chatting in general. I also have a lot of plants. I grew up in Vancouver, Canada. If you've ever been to Vancouver, it's a very green city. So I tried to bring a lot of plants into this house. I think maybe too many. I've got a few terrariums. My partner doesn't like watering plants, so I'm eventually gonna migrate these to his office because they're very low maintenance. You only need to water them maybe once every 3 months. So it's perfect for the type of person who you want some greenery for, but they don't really have a green thumb. Or if you go on holiday and whatnot, it'll still survive. One of my girlfriends is an illustrator in New York. She illustrates these wonderful children's books. They actually won a couple awards at the New York Public Library, New York Times Best Children's Books of the Year. Welcome to the first office. I used to sit here, but now my partner does, because as you can see, there's a lot of sun and it gets very hot. Because it's such a greenhouse, you can see thriving collection of plants here. I am a huge fan of the artist Alex Katz. I went to college in Maine, and that's when I first saw his large-scale canvases. So I got this print a few years ago. It's beautiful flowers, and I painted this here. I don't think it's Alex Katz level, but I was bored one day and I just wanted to have a piece of art on this side. I really still love the state of Maine, so occasionally we go and spend a little bit of time there in the summer. So these are kind of the lobster buoys that a lot of the fishermen use there. Love them because it reminds me of the seaside. Sometimes I wish that New York had a swimmable seaside, but not really. If you ever move here or you're from here, I highly don't recommend swimming the Hudson. This is the only chair that we really owned before moving here. When we moved in, we actually had no furniture, and I particularly didn't like this chair, but my partner was very obsessed with it. He's like, we must have it. It's the one thing he wanted to keep. So it's a very simple blue chair. So I tried to jazz it up by putting a blanket on. Also picked up this cool needlepoint-like looking stool if you like skiing or winter. Just thought it was so cute. And these lamps, love all the flowers. If you look at the details, there's like roses, daisies, this gorgeous porcelain. This is also a fun piece I recently picked up. So you can see there's intricate details. There's an elephant, there's a deer, all sorts of animals. I just think it was fun. It's actually supposed to be an ice bucket. I'm just not using it as an ice bucket. I just think it's lovely. So I leave it here just as a decorational piece. Next up, this was an illustration that my friend Grace Sang created for me. She's an amazing artist. If you're ever looking for illustrations, I highly recommend. I actually made these. So when I moved in here, I was getting a lot of furniture packages, and they often come sometimes wrapped with these cardboard tubes. So I bought some electrical tape that was colored, and I just wrapped it around, and then I went to the hardware store to find the base. These are kind of they're sometimes used to cover sockets or holes, but it's just kind of a fun piece. Didn't cost too much, but it's kind of unique to do. So if you're ever looking to find ways to upcycle your cardboard, this might be it. This here is one of my favorite pieces. The funny story is I actually saw this with one of my ex-boyfriends before I was even living in New York. And at the time he had told me I would never live in a house with this piece in it. So when I eventually moved to New York later, I bought this because I wanted it. Every time I look at this picture, it's kind of like, how far we've come from everything in life. And welcome to my dining room table. I really like live edge wood tables, but they are a pretty big investment. And so for our rental, we just got a live edge like table from CB2. Much more affordable, but it's held up really well. We've had quite a few dinner parties here. Seen somewhere. I really like the detail of some of the silver ribbons here. It's just very nice. It's actually bleached wood. I just installed these lights very recently. I think they're very fun pendant lights to have. This August, we stayed in Mexico for about 2 weeks. And before I went, I knew I wanted to pick up one of these tapestries. They're from an area called Hidalgo. Again, sorry if I pronounce things incorrectly, but I just thought it was gorgeous. I just love color. These take sometimes weeks or months to make. They're all hand embroidered, so loved all the motifs on here. I just love it. It's just it makes me so happy to look at it. So this was one of my mom's nursery songs for me, was this song Que Sera Sera. Can't tell you how many times we had to karaoke to it. If you're Vietnamese, like I am, there's a lot of karaoke, that's a part of your childhood. I feel like Filipinos will also get it. We all have your own karaoke machine at home. So she would always like to sing this song, Que Sera Sera basically means whatever will be, will be. And I kind of feel like that's been a lot of the flow of what's brought me to New York in general. And here is our kitchen. When I moved in, this was all blue, but I wanted a kind of a softer green, so we recently painted it green. I will admit, I wish I used the kitchen more than I actually do. Unfortunately, living in New York, I do take out pretty regularly. But on the weekends, I try. Weekends I think are pretty good at cooking. All right, welcome to our TV room. Okay, I love this room for a variety of reasons. Number one is it's nice to kind of relax and catch up on shows here. But this white sofa was a fun find. I think I saw it on Apartment Deco. It's a very luxurious, creamy white. The designer is, I think, Italian. It's called Moroso. Very comfy. The only thing is I highly recommend never getting a white sofa. So I plan to reupholster this eventually to a more sustainable fabric and color. And here is the wallpaper. This was just from a wallpaper brand that I found on the internet, and I just really like it. It's kind of like chinoiserie style. It kind of really changed the room. I think before this it was just a very empty white wall, and now there's kind of a very distinctive separation of space. We put this up ourselves. It took us 4 hours. After my partner was like, absolutely never again. We will never put up wallpaper. We will hire a professional to do it. So if you are thinking about doing wallpaper, I also recommend hiring someone to do it. New Yorkers always need to have more closet space. And so we built this out to kind of just store extra clothes in. And if you're looking for a great lighting hack, actually, you can easily get these kind of on Amazon. A lot of closets kind of have inbuilt lighting. So I just bought these, and they're really easy. They're magnetic right here on the back, and then you just put it up and it stays, and it's kind of like your own customized lighting for the closet. And welcome to the bedroom. I actually haven't shown very much of this room because it's still kind of under progress right now. But one of my favorite things in this house is actually this seashell mirror that I built. It took about 2 weeks, and everything in here was glued on by me. If you can't tell already, I really like the seaside. I really like the ocean. And this kind of reminds me of, a sea salt breeze, sunny days, even when it's freezing here in New York City this winter. So this is one of my favorite items. It's a labor, also another labor of love of mine. So I found this drawer set pretty close by. It was made in upstate New York a long time ago, and I just love the handles. They're just so groovy. I was looking for a piece to kind of complement the seaside vibe here, so I just framed a scarf that I had purchased, and it's just also a nice burst of color in the morning to enjoy. Really love these lamps. And the bed was probably the only piece of furniture that we really owned before moving into this place. We had a big debate about whose bed we would keep. I had a really nice 4-poster canopy bed that I loved, and my partner had this leather bed frame. And so, as you can see, I got a lot of free reign on the rest of the house, so he got to decide on the furniture for the bedroom. Thank you for coming to my home tour. If you want to follow me, I'm at I am Michelle Pham on all platforms. See you soon.